If you have Hashimoto's, you've probably heard three so-called golden rules. Cut gluten, take selenium, and avoid dairy at all costs. The harsh truth? In 2025, the science shows at least two of these rules are either exaggerated or flat out wrong. Today, I'll show you what actually matters, based on the latest research, not online fear. I'm here to tell you that the conversation around the Hashimoto's diet has fundamentally changed. The rigid, one-size-fits-all thou shalt not eat lists are dissolving under the weight of new, robust scientific evidence from 2024 and 2025. What the best doctors and researchers are finding now is a personalized, evidence-based path to feeling better that is far more effective than just blindly cutting out every food group you see on social media. My goal with this script is not to give you a grocery list of forbidden foods. It's to give you the intellectual framework to understand why certain foods impact you specifically, and how to stop fighting imaginary battles so you can focus on the ones that actually matter. So, let's start with the non-negotiable truth. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disorder. It's not a thyroid problem per se. It's an immune system problem where your body mistakenly attacks your own thyroid gland. Think of your immune system as a highly trained special forces unit. Except in the case of Hashimoto's, their GPS has failed, and they've started targeting your thyroid, raising those telltale antibodies, anti-TPO and anti-TG. Over time, this chronic attack damages the gland, which can lead to hypothyroidism. The most critical point you need to internalize right now is this: diet alone does not cure Hashimoto's. No food, no supplement, no superfood can make an autoimmune disease disappear. But, and this is a monumental but, diet is one of the most powerful tools we have to reduce systemic inflammation, improve the absorption and effectiveness of your medication, correct common nutrient deficiencies, and dramatically improve your daily quality of life. If you are not integrating a science-backed nutritional strategy, you are leaving one of your biggest advantages on the table. You're trying to stabilize a shaky bridge without fixing the foundation. Let's dive straight into the most controversial ingredient: gluten. For years, removing gluten has been the holy grail of the Hashimoto's community. But for whom is it truly mandatory, and for whom is it a pointless struggle? The science gives us a very clear, nuanced answer, and it all starts with the connection to celiac disease. If you have celiac disease, then removing gluten is absolutely mandatory. This is a non-negotiable requirement for your health, and studies show that this action typically improves both your general well-being and your immunological control. We know that Hashimoto's and celiac disease have an association that is statistically higher than average, meaning if you have one, you should absolutely be tested for the other. This isn't a theory, it's a foundational fact. Now, here is the new positioning, the scientific revelation that challenges the dogma. For those without celiac disease, the universal recommendation for a gluten-free diet is currently unjustified. Recent meta-analyses and clinical trials from the last year or two have produced inconsistent results. While some studies show a modest reduction in thyroid antibodies and small hormonal shifts in some patient groups, the evidence simply isn't robust enough to make it a blanket rule for everyone. The most recent meta-analysis in 2024 and 2025, which specifically focused on Hashimoto's patients without celiac, concluded that although there are signals of benefit in inflammation and autoantibodies, the studies are too few and too varied to recommend universally cutting gluten. This is the key insight I want you to take away. Gluten-free is an optional, personalized strategy, not a mandatory edict. So, who is most likely to benefit from the effort and expense of a serious trial run, say 8 to 12 weeks of going gluten-free? The evidence suggests you should test this strategy if you have a clear pattern of intestinal distress or symptoms like bloating, chronic diarrhea, or abdominal pain. If you have a strong family history of celiac disease or other autoimmune conditions, if your thyroid antibody levels are persistently very high or highly fluctuating and hard to control with medication, or if you have clear signs of non-celiac gluten sensitivity. If you don't fall into these categories, the science today says your energy is better spent elsewhere. Trying to force a restrictive diet where one isn't needed can actually lead to nutrient deficiencies and honestly make your social and mental health worse. It's time to stop the mandatory, guilt-ridden, all-or-nothing approach to gluten. We have to be surgical in our approach. Do you feel the need to justify every bite you take based on fear, or are you ready to use food as a precise tool to heal your unique body? That's the pivot point. Coming up, we'll tackle the next big supplement myth, selenium. Is it an inflammation super extinguisher, or is taking too much actually pushing you toward a toxic cliff? The answer is in the dosage, and the latest research is crystal clear on the dangers of self-prescribing. The next big player in the autoimmune diet drama is selenium. This trace mineral has been hailed as a miracle cure, the one thing you must take to drive down your antibodies. But like so many things in the world of supplements, the truth is far more nuanced, and crucially, the line between beneficial and harmful is incredibly thin. Selenium first entered the conversation because of its proven role in your body's chemistry. It's a key component of powerful antioxidant enzymes, and it is vital for the proper conversion of the inactive thyroid hormone, T4, into the active form, T3. The theory is sound. If Hashimoto's creates oxidative stress on the thyroid, selenium should act like a chemical firefighter to reduce that stress. But theory and clinical reality often diverge. Let's look at the hard data from the last 2 years. A major meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials published in the journal Thyroid in 2024 did indeed find that selenium reduces anti-TPO and anti-TG antibodies, but the reduction was classified as small to moderate. Crucially, the same study did not consistently demonstrate an improvement in symptoms, a reduced need for levothyroxine dosage, or a significant lasting improvement in the patient's overall quality of life. Another similar meta-analysis from 2025 reached a parallel cautious conclusion. The benefit is real, but it's most pronounced in people who are already deficient in selenium, and the overall clinical impact remains hotly debated. The major danger here is the self-prescribing culture. The most effective studies, the ones that showed that modest benefit, used a very specific controlled dose, typically 100 to 200 micrograms per day. The issue is that going above this, especially without lab work to confirm a deficiency, can quickly lead to a condition called selenosis. This is a literal state of toxicity manifesting with unpleasant symptoms like hair loss, brittle or weak nails, a metallic taste in your mouth, and serious gastrointestinal issues. The evidence based on all the research today is clear. Do not supplement selenium in the dark. Prioritize food sources first. A couple of Brazil nuts a day, eggs, fish, and seafood are excellent sources. Supplementation should only be considered if a blood test indicates a probable deficiency or if a qualified clinician specifically recommends it based on your unique clinical profile. We must shift the perception from selenium as a magic pill to selenium as a potent pharmaceutical tool that requires precision dosing. Next on the chopping block of common dietary exclusions, dairy. The dairy debate, like the gluten one, is often steeped in more dogma than data. Is there robust proof that cutting all dairy reduces Hashimoto's in every single person? No. The current and comprehensive scientific reviews explicitly state there is no broad basis to universally recommend a lactose-free or dairy-free diet for all Hashimoto's patients. That is the hard line. But now for the necessary nuanced addition. While it is not a universal trigger for the immune attack itself, dairy does cause significant issues for a substantial subgroup of people with Hashimoto's. The key lies in lactose intolerance, LI. Studies show that lactose intolerance is more prevalent in people with Hashimoto's, and for these individuals, consuming lactose can absolutely wreak havoc on the gut. This gut distress not only causes classic symptoms like bloating and discomfort, but critically, it can interfere with the absorption of your levothyroxine medication, which then prevents your TSH levels from stabilizing, leading you right back to square one with thyroid symptoms. If you have a diagnosed lactose intolerance, or if you are struggling to stabilize your TSH despite a correct medication dose, reducing lactose is absolutely an evidence-based strategy that can improve your TSH response and how well your body processes the medicine. Furthermore, observational studies have pointed to a high frequency of adverse reactions to milk proteins in Hashimoto's patients. However, these often rely on IgG food sensitivity tests, which are highly controversial and do not currently prove a direct causal link between the food and the autoimmune response. So, here is your practical roadmap for dairy. Do not cut it out if you are stable and have no adverse gut symptoms. That is unnecessary restriction. Instead, consider a test reduction of dairy or lactose if you experience clear negative symptoms immediately after consumption, have a suspected IBS, or if your TSH is stubbornly unstable. For everyone else, focus on the quality of your dairy. Fermented products like natural yogurt and kefir are often better tolerated because the fermentation process naturally breaks down the lactose. Are you treating your unique body as a complex system requiring precise calibration, or are you just following a generic online playbook designed for someone else? It's time to move past the binary thinking and focus on the science of you. Now that we've dismantled the major supplement and food myths, we're going to build the most consistent, scientifically backed foundation for managing Hashimoto's, the Core Anti-Inflammatory Diet. This is the part of the video that is non-negotiable for real lasting change, and it has nothing to do with fancy powders or expensive replacements. We've established that the internet's most popular Hashimoto's commandments, the absolute ban on gluten and the universal mandate for selenium, are, for most people, overly rigid or unnecessary risks. They are highly specialized tools, not the foundation. Now, let's talk about the foundation. This is the non-negotiable, evidence-backed core of the anti-inflammatory diet that has shown the most consistent, profound benefits for managing autoimmune conditions, and particularly Hashimoto's. If you get this right, you can often afford to be a little more flexible with the optional foods. The pattern that consistently emerges across all high-quality nutritional research is the focus on an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. The best results come from adopting dietary patterns that mirror the Mediterranean diet. High intake of a diverse range of vegetables. The greater the variety, the better. Use of extra virgin olive oil as the primary fat source. Frequent consumption of fish, particularly fatty fish rich in omega-3s. High fiber from whole grains and legumes. And, most importantly, a severe reduction in ultra-processed foods, UPFs, and added sugar. Think of your body's inflammation levels as a campfire. Gluten and dairy for some are like gasoline, they cause a flare-up. But ultra-processed foods, added sugars, and inflammatory fats, they are the slow-burning logs that keep the fire going 24/7. They are the background noise that keeps your immune system chronically irritable and reactive. Cutting the gasoline might help, but extinguishing the logs is the only way to quiet the fire for good. This means reducing those easy packaged meals, the sugary drinks, and the snacks that are engineered to be hyper-palatable but are devoid of real nutrients. A significant part of this foundational strategy involves checking for and correcting common nutrient deficiencies. Because of the chronic inflammation and potential malabsorption with Hashimoto's, certain deficiencies are alarmingly common and can directly mimic or worsen thyroid symptoms. The most frequent culprits include vitamin D, iron, vitamin B12, and zinc. These aren't minor players, they are the cofactors that allow your thyroid and immune systems to function correctly. Low vitamin D, for example, is strongly implicated in the severity of autoimmune diseases. If your lab work shows you are deficient in these key areas, prioritizing high-quality food sources and, if necessary, targeted supplementation often provides a more impactful improvement than any amount of restrictive dieting. Let's zero in on the importance of gut health. We now understand that a healthy, diverse gut microbiome is essential for modulating the immune system. The gut is where 70% of your immune system resides, and if the gut lining is compromised, a concept often referred to as leaky gut, it can potentially increase the immune system's exposure to food particles, perpetuating the autoimmune cycle. The most effective dietary way to heal the gut is by focusing on fiber, from whole foods, not supplements, fermented foods like natural yogurt, sauerkraut, and kefir, assuming dairy is tolerated, and an abundance of vegetables and fruits. These foods feed the beneficial bacteria, which, in turn, strengthens the gut barrier and helps to stabilize your immune response. We have to view the anti-inflammatory diet as the ground floor of our treatment plan. The medication, levothyroxine, stabilizes the hormone levels. The anti-inflammatory diet stabilizes the immune system. They are two sides of the same coin, and neither works optimally without the other. This model is patient-centered, empowering, and critically sustainable. It asks you to choose health-promoting foods more often rather than just constantly feeling deprived or guilty. This is the mindset shift. When you focus on what you add, more vegetables, more fiber, healthy fats, rather than just what you subtract, your perspective changes from one of restriction to one of nourishment. You are no longer depriving yourself, you are actively fueling your body's powerful ability to heal and self-regulate. If you look at your current plate, is your diet focused on adding fuel for healing, or are you primarily concerned with subtracting things that might be a problem? This simple shift in perspective can change your entire relationship with food and your condition. Finally, we turn the corner to the practical application. I'm going to give you 3 outstanding US-based resources for continuous learning and the 3 most important actions you need to take starting today. Plus, the mandatory final warning on what all of this means for your medication and your doctor. We've completed the intellectual journey from confusion to clarity. We've established that the most effective strategy for managing Hashimoto's is built on a solid foundation of a Mediterranean-style anti-inflammatory diet, aggressive correction of common nutrient deficiencies like vitamin D and iron, and a highly personalized approach to potential triggers like gluten and dairy. These highly specific exclusions should be tested based on clear symptoms, not on online fear-mongering. Now, let's turn this knowledge into immediate actionable steps and introduce you to the thought leaders who can support your journey. Your first action must be to schedule a comprehensive discussion with your healthcare provider, ideally an endocrinologist or a functional medicine practitioner, about lab work. Specifically, you need to check your thyroid panel, TSH, free T4, free T3, and both anti-TPO and anti-TG antibodies, and your foundational nutrient levels, vitamin D, 25OH, ferritin, iron storage, and vitamin B12. This is the data that will transform your diet from a guessing game into a targeted scientific intervention. You can't effectively use the Selenium fire extinguisher if you don't know the status of your internal fire. The goal is to move from a reactive state to a proactive, evidence-based management plan. Your second action is to make one immediate shift in your grocery cart. Eliminate ultra-processed foods and added sugars. Forget the complexities of gluten for a moment. This single act will drop your overall systemic inflammation more effectively than almost anything else. It is the single biggest, highest impact lever you can pull immediately to stop feeding the autoimmune campfire those slow-burning logs we discussed. Focus on whole foods, meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, fruits, healthy oils, and nuts. This is the cornerstone of healing. And your third action is to practice mindful consumption of your information. The internet is full of gurus offering simplified, guaranteed solutions. These are often marketing ploys. You need reliable sources. To help you continue your education, here are 3 highly recommended US-based YouTube channels focused on Hashimoto's and thyroid health led by informed practitioners. Thyroid pharmacist, Dr. Isabella Wentz. This channel is dedicated almost entirely to Hashimoto's, covering various dietary triggers, root causes, and protocols. Dr. Wentz's approach is thorough and focuses on identifying individual triggers. Dr. Weston Childs' Thyroid Hashimoto's Focus. Dr. Childs offers many specific videos on micronutrients like selenium, the complexities of the T4/T3 conversion, and targeted dietary strategies, all within an accessible format. Paloma Health. This channel is run by a team of medical doctors and nutritionists providing educational content that is grounded, non-radical, and offers a balanced perspective on all treatment options. These channels can provide you with continuous, nuanced information that moves beyond the simplistic cut X, take Y advice. Use them as educational supplements to your professional medical care. Warning: medical disclaimer. Before we close, this is the most important message. I am not a doctor. I am a content specialist who has engineered this video based on recent, peer-reviewed scientific literature up to mid-2025. This content is for educational purposes only. You must consult with your personal physician, endocrinologist, or a registered dietitian before making any changes to your diet, medication, or supplementation regimen. Your treatment plan, including the use of levothyroxine, selenium, or the removal of gluten or dairy, must be personalized and professionally supervised. Ignoring this advice can lead to serious health consequences, including thyroid storm or nutrient toxicity. Ultimately, what does a life managed with this level of informed, personal precision truly look like for you? The journey through Hashimoto's is a marathon, not a sprint. It's about learning to work with your body, not fighting against it. By focusing on the core principles of an anti-inflammatory diet, correcting proven deficiencies, and only implementing targeted restrictions based on clear evidence from your own body, you are shifting the power dynamic. You are taking back the control from the confusion and stepping into an empowered, personalized approach to healing. If this new science-backed perspective gave you a single aha moment, please click the like button and share this video with someone you know who is still trapped in the old, rigid dieting mentality. More importantly, what is the single biggest change you will make to your diet this week based on the principle of personalization over dogma? Leave your commitment in the comments below. Let's build an informed community, not a restrictive one. Thank you for watching.